Back on the bench with Suleiman Bashir, we've got Angel Budia, and we've got a guy with a funny name, but we'll get used to it, Alenga Torstad.
Great.
Guys, so how do you convince your generation that they must, A, get their IDs, those who don't have, B, show up on that day? Angel, what do you tell? How do you convince them?
I want them to look at the situation we are in right now. We are totally back to the Moi era that we used to read about in our school books.
Is that big?
We are looking at...
Jubilee is not to blame for that?
No.
You see?
We are speaking.
Suleiman,
we are speaking.
Jubilee is not to blame for what happened post-Jubilee?
We are where we are because of Jubilee, actually.
Go on.
We are where we are because of very many decisions, including our own. But we are back to the Moi era, almost word for word. When we look at abductions, when we look at HIV becoming a conversation that is threatening our generation today, we are back to those dark times. And that alone is enough to get anyone chilled, or to get a cold chill down their spine. So we cannot take anything for granted that happens in this country. You were reading the business news right here, and you talked about that the social media and the technological space is about to bring in more revenue for the country. But who did we appoint as the minister for ICT? Someone who is going to gag and regulate that space further. So we are making one step forward and then three backwards. And that's what the Kenya Kwanza regime, and one preacher was praying for them and called it Kenya Kwisha. Maybe we should have listened to that prayer at that time when it was being made. Maybe there was some communication being made. And all those things, when we look at the education sector, when we look at the freedom of expression, that, Jeff, after this interview, I fear being picked up by some Subaru out here. But one
Subaru ya Mabaru.
Subaru ati inanipick hapa nje, ndio inanipick. But what I would want to tell the regime first, before I talk to my generation, is that we are not going to stop calling them to order. We are going to inject and inject when we can and where we can, because we must tell the truth. Our friends, the Western countries, are now withdrawing and looking inwards, and that's up to them. It's their own tax money, and they run their country as they wish. But our own government, we will not stop calling it to order. If they want to abduct us, let them bring in more Subarus, let them build more jails, because we are not going to stop. If they want to, let them arrest all of us. And my generation, nobody is coming to save us. We are in a place where it is just us and about us. What happened in June 25th was the right thing and the best thing that would have happened to this country. And may the souls of those comrades who died fighting for this country rest in peace. We will forever remember them. And by remembering them, we will be at the forefront in fighting for this country and putting this country first.
When you become woman rep for Kiambu, will you try and push for a national holiday on June 25th? Will you?
No, we should do it now. Why are we waiting for 2028?
Oh.
June 25th is a momentous day. After we are done with Sabasaba, the next one is June 25th, which is our holiday.
Suleiman.
Jeff, you know, she talked about the June 25th events of 2024.
And you were there?
I was there, actually, yeah. And, you know, I actually continue representing some of those who are affected in courts. Let me put it this way. Actually, in August 2024, there was another protest in Nigeria. They kept on referring to what has happened in Kenya.
Yes.
Secondly, when you look at the protests that happened in South Africa, it was also in 2024, it was about reduce the fees. We also had a similar movement, I think, in Nigeria again. It was about maladministration and proper governance. That's what they were clamoring for. A similar thing was also witnessed in Uganda, issues to do with end corruption and a demand for proper governance. These are all movements by a specific clique of young minds that are now waking up to the sad reality of what is happening in their country. If you look at the example of Bangladesh, what has seen the eviction or the fleeing of Prime Minister Hasina, the one who was removed from office, these are all movements that were really organized by youth. And when you look at the events of June 25th, that's something that I'll call it a very organic issue in terms of it is not our usual political or NGO-based or tribal leader-based movement. It was actually faceless initially as it has started. So the most important thing is there are various important lessons that we can draw. That one, the youth at that time have stamped the authority. a communication and a conversation has started. They have actually proved their presence in our country by doing what they have done. That actually forced the president to announce the removal or the resignation of the Inspector General of Police, sacking of an entire cabinet, and the aspect that he was recommending that no further question of advisors to his cabinet, to his State House and what have you. In other words, he started to bring in arrangements that were hell-bent on reducing the various costs that are incurred by the national government. So these are issues that have emanated from the movement of these particular young minds. Only that, from there, that particular conversation has ended upon the aspect of us having the kind of former President Uhuru, Raila Odinga now coming to the fold, so that now we are able to see what they are now regarding as the broad-based government.
Yeah.
But in short, a conversation has started. The same is ongoing. This actually forced the president to join the X platform. He had to apologize to the youth of this country, address them, give them an opportunity. The other day we saw the former deputy president who was impeached now coming on TikTok Live trying to address this particular clique of age set or age group. This tells you that come the 2027, we're having these particular leaders. Even the president who wants to be re-elected, he will make an effort to reach out to these particular young people, and they'll have an opportunity to audit him, and they'll be able to make up their mind. That's what I'm saying. All is not lost. We have a lot of time, 2.5 years for himself.
Yeah.
He's been shown that he's making a lot of mistakes, which he's continuing to make by the day. He doesn't need us, as the youth, again, to organize for another protest or cause some more havoc. Rather, we've just shown him that there are certain problems that is happening with his government. So I think, and there's no harm. You know, when you're in high school, your teacher keeps on telling you need to improve your marks, so that before you sit for your KCP or KCSE, you were audited at that particular exam. And he's able to see, are you fit enough to sit for exam? So in short, we are telling him, look, Mr. President, you're not fit to run. You will not be able to get our votes if you try to get a second term. You have the chance, you have the time, try to see what you can change in the country.
Alenga, you just heard Angel talking about abductions.
Yes.
And there's still, if I'm not mistaken, there's still 25 people who are unaccounted for today.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, that's very worrisome.
It is indeed worrying, but sometimes we have to be very open to pick the gains that we've made over history and absolutely recognize the steps that we are making in the right direction. So I would maybe start by disagreeing with Angel that we are back to the Moi days. We're not. We are in a very, very different time. We're at a time where if I am abducted today, Bashir will talk about it, Angel will talk about it, you will talk about it, everybody will talk about it.
It'll be all over social media.
Yes. In the Moi days when the likes of Tirop Arap Kitur, Wafula Buke, and all the others would be picked up, nobody would speak for them.
No.
Absolutely. So we are at a safer space than we were 30 years ago. So if we recognize that, then it now becomes a rallying call. Even the 25 that still are unaccountable for today, we can now use our voices that we have today to continuously speak and press for that to come forth. But then we look at an opportunistic moment for some politicians who are actually using the young people to just achieve their tribal, their parochial interests. And if we're not awakened to that reality, then we might be following the wrong person, you know? Because right now, the conversation that we are having must be about us. If it is not about us, then you don't stand for us at all. And so I warn young people that if there is any politician that walked and worked with President Moi in Kanu, that one cannot be your place of solace. That one cannot bring any solution on the table. So as we chart the way forward, how do we push ourselves into this equation so that we are at a place where we can now determine for ourselves what is it that we want, how do we want it, and when do we want it? If you go back to your local electoral spaces, who are you supporting as a young person? And if the other person has money, how can you form and pool your small resources and support, even if we are going to say, well, we are going to enter this space one at a time. Even in a whole county, if we say as the young people of Vihiga County, let's say for instance, this time round our senator must be 25. And we say whatever small money that we have, We have seen people run Mchanga. Can we run Mchanga for our elections as young people? Because we have not stolen money from anywhere that we can open the money bags and bankroll our elections. So we start from there. Can we strategize about the small efforts that we can do so that if we win an election today, and I'm very happy that we have even talked about the young people that have made it to the electoral offices in the last election, people like Salasia. How do we increase, how do we add Salasia, another Salasia to support him when he says no? So that on his side, another Salasia says so. Look at what happened with EFF. Malema had been used by the ANC party for a very long time as the head of the Youth League.
Yep.
But he stood and said, well, I cannot be the head of the Youth League forever, because these are positions that they use to silo your thinking so that you don't think beyond. You don't even conceptualize winning an election, but they give you a false constituency that they tell you hold the youth. So Malema said, let me break away from this. Let me form EFF. In the first election of EFF, if I'm not wrong, it only took to parliament 3 elected leaders. But over time, they have been adding. Today, they can bring the South African parliament to a standstill because they worked progressively. And that is why I take away the notion of saying, we are the youth, we can do this, let us strategize. And Angel has elevated the 25th of June conversation, and that has prompted me to add my part to that conversation, because it still bothers me that young people died, that we expressed a lot of rage, and the government gave us superficial changes. So what was the worth of all that rage? How do we walk beyond the rage? How do we transform this rage into simple strategies that can give us the power that we desire? So that once we are at that space, then we can say what we want is this.
That's a good point. Very good points, guys. Gavoni wa Mushomba, MP Githunguri, she says, tell Gen Zs to try me. I have no scandal. I'm just a mother who stood with them trying moments. Otherwise, their leaderless movement may not yield.
But now you know she's associated with the impeached gentleman.
I can hear you.
Yeah. She's at the moment associated with the impeached gentleman. Now that's an issue.
So it doesn't work.
But she has spoken for herself. She said, try me.
Try me. That's what she said.
But Jeff, if it walks like a duck,
talks like a duck,
quacks like a duck,
it is a duck. Wow, 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 wow. And then there's another guy. His name is Kaba Miano. He says, hey, this guy sounds a lot like the Grand Mullah, man. And it looks like Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi.
And it looks like a younger him.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
I was reserving that.
Ahmed is my brother, and he's my senior brother. Only that at the moment, I seem to be part of the lawyers who are really clamoring to have the Supreme Court renege on that particular position that he has taken on his block.
And he has been adamant about.
And I think it's a very wrong move by the Supreme Court, because if it has treated Ahmed and his advocates like that, it will treat myself the same way. It will also end up treating other litigants, yourself, when you come to court. If you talk ill of the courts, are we staring at a court or at a Supreme Court Chief Justice, for example, and other judges? Are they not able to stand criticism? Are they not able to stand the certain commentaries that are made by a Kenyan or an advocate? Are we not people who are entitled to those particular opinions? When we come to court, are you going to punish both the advocate, the associates, and the clients? You know, that is actually a form of an economic sabotage that has been leveled against himself. But otherwise, he's a fantastic...
He's a great lawyer.
He's a good one.
Good guy.
He's your friend.
A very good friend of mine.
I know. He's also my friend.
But just say Supreme Court.
What do you mean?
Just say Supreme Court.
No, I can't pronounce it like Ahmed. I'll say Supreme Court.
How does
Ahmed seems to pronounce it.
Nice.
And I happen to pronounce better than
It took me long to note the joke.
Should we go to the magic wall? Let's go to the magic wall. What do you guys say? There's a lot of comments coming in and questions. Let's go over there and check it out. from around the country, around the region, and across the world. Who's up front? Who's up first? Lily Dante says, Jeff, this Kenyan leaders got educated through HELB. Personally, I was lucky. I went through the college system with HELB, but I do not regret why Siku apply HELB. At least nikule hiyo pesa ya gava sababu job sina atogai. Lily, whoa, yeah. You see how it is?
Yeah,
That's what I was telling you.
It's tough.
Somebody who went to school in the 60s, 70s, and 80s cannot relate with that tweet.
No.
And you know, research has it that in Kenya, every year, about 1 million Kenyans are churned out from our university.
1 million.
1 million.
Every year.
Then how do we explain having class 6 dropouts in our government as well?
As advisors and as people who punish those who are removed.
Doing.
Yeah. You know,
absolutely. When the system is flawed, what I was talking about, the software, that's when you end up with square pegs in round holes. That's where we are.
But guys, this is a tinderbox. It's like a ticking time bomb.
Absolutely.
It is. You know, it has happened in Tunisia, it has happened in Egypt, it has happened in very many countries. I think we must not wait for that to happen.
No.
Because already some leaders are taking advantage of this particular situation that the youths are finding themselves in. It's better for those who are now in office to wake up to this very sad reality. To live up to those particular promises that they have promised.
Instead of
Absolutely.
just thumping and
Let's get the next one.
in office.
Mwalimu Fred Magaga says, Elena is very right. Okay. The political...
I think he meant Alenga.
Alenga.
The political atmosphere right now does not augur well for the youth to make a reasonable political change. However, we need to make the youth majority voters so that they can determine who becomes their leader, including the youth that will vie. And we were talking about this earlier, right?
Yeah.
You got to get your IDs.
Yes.
You got to register to vote. They have to come out. 8 million didn't come out the last time.
And you know, Jeff, IBC has a serious role in terms of civic education.
What IBC?
We don't have one.
Thank you.
Fortunately. But you know, again, IBC has that very important role of ensuring that...
Yes. We have yet another challenge. You know, Jeff, right now, for you to get an ID, you need to pay 1,000 bob.
Yes.
Yeah. And most of
and
these
have
young
an expiry
people,
time.
And what is that? What is the expiry?
And the government is looking to collect taxes, and your KRA PIN is connected to your ID card, which now they want to charge me for. Then what is wrong with this government? Are they serious? Are they out of their minds?
In other words, you are being charged or you are supposed to pay in order to exercise your right at the ballot.
And it has an expiry date.
It has an expiry.
Absolutely. It's like you renew to be Kenyan.
you will expire. You know your citizenship will expire at some point. You know, let me tell you, my dear, what happened. This particular regime has suffered a lot of court cases. A lot. There are so many petitions that are lying in court. That's why at the moment we're even calling for a better chief justice, so that we're able to have a court that is less corrupt. You know, at the moment, a lot is happening within the court corridors. We need to have a court that we're able to file our petitions, protect the citizenry, and be able to fight such very nonsensical moves by the state. We must not look at a point whereby a Kenyan is given an identification document that will expire, let's say, in 2036. Am I going to expire as a Kenyan? Is my time expiring as a Kenyan, as a citizen of the country? And what happens when the time expires? What happens if I don't renew it?
Guys,
will I stand expired?
Guys, are we going to get an IBC committee in 90 days? Are we going to get that?
We were looking towards that, but at the moment now we're having political leaders who are now focusing on this particular selection panel members. Some are talking about Kokimuli, another one is talking about Adams Olo. You know, this tells you that even when the process is done, we are going to expect a lot of court cases here and there, and that particular process will be questioned by them. Some will tell us that this particular chairperson who will be selected or who is going to be selected is going to be associated with person X, and it's a very, very sad moment. We need to be countries such as India. You know, India is credited for having one of the most independent electoral commissions. It is able to steer the the electoral affairs of the country at a very proper level. I think that is where we need to get, in the sense that we need to have some independent institutions that we need to respect. And these institutions must have people of good integrity.
But Jeff, you're also telling this government, even if Mr. Ruto decides to appoint his closest relative to be the chairperson of IEBC, if we come out and vote, you cannot rig those numbers.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I think it's because Uhuru was taught a lesson, when Uhuru was trying to vote to front Raila, and he was a sitting president. The people of Kenya have fallen into that particular hustler narrative. And the issue of dynasty. And actually that saw the people overpowering the candidate of a sitting president. That is a very strong message, and the same is a replica to what might happen.
So, Angel, you say it's not going to happen. You cannot rig.
You cannot rig masses who have voted for a particular decision. We saw that already.
Alenga.
But we have to be aware so that we don't slide into ecstatic conversations that, emotionalize the entire governance issue that we have as a country. Because if we say that if we come out in large numbers and vote, the current president will not be able to rig. But then we must also ask ourselves at the back door, who is our candidate? So if it is Matiang'i, there's no difference.
Oh, there's that name again.
We have
there's that name again.
Jubilee
Kuna mtu amelipwa.
Jubilee dealt with us. UDA has finished us, and Matiang'i must just finish us completely. So,
Alenga. Okay. Boss. Andiki Simon says, there comes a time when the nation is much more important than the individual. Remember that quote?
Yes.
Who was it?
Some American president.
No, George Saitoti.
Oh, okay.
Remember?
The late, yes.
Sanctity of institutions must be upheld. Individual interests and interference ends up being, quote unquote, hot air, your friend, Chief Justice. Nani? Ni nani?
Atakayekomboa Kenya.
Atakayekomboa Kenya. Nani? Is it you guys? Is it you guys? Are you ready?
Yes.
Because, let me tell you this. Look what's happening in Goma right now.
Yes.
I mean, it's a different situation, but, that place will take 30 years to rebuild.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
At least. Minimum. Do we want to go down that slippery slope?
No, not really. We just want a better leader than what we have.
Guy.
Otherwise, we would not be talking about IBC and identification cards.
Okay.
Those are our weapons as Kenyan youth.
The change we, the young people, seek cannot be accomplished by the Moi team as the current political class. Unfortunately, they have mastered the script of controlling the system. Today, the IEBC is being midwifed by them. During elections, quote unquote, people. Pepper, Sorry. Pepper covers the whole country. What is Pepper?
Bad spirits.
Oh, okay. Covers the whole country, and we elect the same people. Kenya will prosper post-Moi political children. That is, yeah. Jeff, it's all about the interests of the political class, and the Wanjiko will still suffer. So I think you guys, one of you mentioned, or you all mentioned, these are all kids of Moi.
Yes.
These are all students of Moi.
And their philosophy is one, to enrich themselves and their families. Even the ones who are having political parties today, when they get even the smallest positions like MP of East Africa Legislative Assembly, they take their children. Instead of developing the youth within their parties to be experienced in politics so that they can come and run for
he was
office.
just a few words short of mentioning Kalonzo. He's the one who sent his son to
By the way, that tweet was from Danson Mukile in Washington, D.C. Wow. He's watching us from the nation's capital.
We're at a time when we are depending so much
on them. See what Trump has done to WHO and HIV and funding.
He's right, and that's what he promised the people of America, and that's what he's...
What about ICE deporting people, Angel?
That is what he told the people of America, and that's what they elected. It's not a surprise to the people of America. They knew what he stood for.
Guy, you people are just cold, man. Ceci Bright says, I like how the young lads and lasses are nailing it down. Kindly tell Alenga to give some of the reforms or provisions affecting youth since he works in governor's office.
Governor.
You work in governor's office?
Guy.
He never.
Alega, you didn't tell us. Is it? Are you in governance or you work for a governor?
No,
governor?
it has come to a time where I have to say I advise the governor of Vihiga County on ICT, e-governance and public affairs.
Oh.
Yeah, and just to answer Ceci Bright, at the moment, we've been able to partner with Raspberry Pi Foundation to come down there and teach young people coding skills so that they can get upmarket jobs.
And who are they? Who's Raspberry whatever?
Raspberry Pi Foundation is a U.S. organization.
Mm-hmm.
They are working with a local organization called Features Infinite. And I was able to champion for this MOU so that they can work together, because I believe an empowered young person is able to change the world.
So why the hell aren't you running for office there, Lenga?
I don't
He's
have
scared
money
of the
to
boss
buy
at
the
the- you know,
vote.
He's scared.
You know, I
He's
don't have the money
scared.
To buy the vote.
It's not about the money. You heard Suleiman.
At the moment, he's on a payroll. You know, it's also important that we protect his job. He'll be able to make up his mind, and he'll communicate.
So he's paying housing tax.
At the moment,
he's paying
doing a lot.
NSSF.
He's doing a lot.
And he pays hotel. Sha, she, shu.
So he'll communicate,
Housing
he'll make his
levy.
decision at the right time.
Sawa.
Absolutely.
Okay, weka huko. Caleb in Kenya says, we all can't be leaders from that scope. How do we plan to build capacity amongst our youths so that we can save our agricultural sector and generally the economy of our nation? Yeah, that's what.
Jeff, we are starting proposals for the finance bill of 2025,
Well,
2026.
good.
And that we cannot all be leaders, but we have to be awake to the decisions that are about to be proposed and brought forth to us. Because when you talk about not all of us being leaders, it's about all of us being aware of what is happening. Because that critical bill is going to affect those sectors that have been listed there.
Yeah, yeah.
Jeff, I feel I want to contribute to this tweet.
Go on.
There's something that I always say, that this country is where it is, and especially the young people are being treated the way they are treated because we work with something in this country which I call providing private solutions to public problems. If you look at that, you are providing a private solution. You know, Kenyans, if they have a bad road, they will come there, try to fill the potholes.
Yeah.
And they even ask you to give them some money for that. They are providing a private solution.
Yeah.
When they don't have education, they go to WhatsApp groups and raise money to take a child to school. When we don't have healthcare, we raise money through WhatsApp groups to take the patient to hospital. What does the government say where it sits? It says, oh, they can fix their stuff. So the government does not care. So we must put the government to accountability for the taxes that they collect, because those taxes are supposed to increase this capacity.
Yeah.
They're supposed to create jobs. When they tell us in their manifesto they are creating 10,000 jobs, where are they?
But you see, some of these things that they're talking about also, I think, are policy-based, and some of them are, again, legislative-based. Some of these things require a cure at that particular house. Some of these things require a policy issue being addressed by the executive. And I think these are the issues that are able to address the agricultural questions that we're having, the problems of farmers, the problems of our youth in terms of those particular employment entities or these agencies, the question of taxes. That's why we keep talking about this particular bill or bills that are before our houses. The only sad issue is that all the issues that we're talking about can be best addressed by that particular National Assembly and the Senate. Only that we're at a time when we have forgotten about that particular house. But that house, if we find it in the right form and right persons, they'll be able to address all these issues based on those particular laws that they passed. They are able to amend, repeal, and enact fresh laws that can cushion Kenyans against all these problems.
That's why you guys are going to run, right?
Yes, we will.
Good.
You're almost convincing me.
Oh, yeah, good. I like that. I like that. Kaka Speak says, my hope is to see a good country free from chains of slavery and oppression and corruption, a country that upholds national values, integrity, and the rule of law. The youth is my tribe. I like that, Kaka. I like that. John Kanyimba Maina says, listening to your bench today, I tend to think there's no hope coming forth. What? Sounds like I am also listening to the future problem of Kenya. When we have a problem with the past, present, and are not brave to be the change we want, how do we get things changed?
Hope Alenga.
Are you listening? Alenga?
Alenga.
I mean, the change that we want comes through the ballot.
Yes,
And-
but you're afraid to stand at that ballot.
Because we know the realities of that ballot.
No.
Today,
no.
that ballot is being crafted so that the outcome of that ballot will favor certain individuals. The IEBC conversation that we've been having.
Yeah,
right
but
now. Tell me,
Angel says you can't
how
rig it.
many-
If you have numbers, you can't rig it.
how many of those that stepped out on the 25th of June will not have an ID by 2027, will not have a voter's card by 2027?
No, you know, in as much as they are trying to plan what happens in 2027, there's a certain level of awareness that we must have on our part. We shall be able to say, look, there's a certain way we're able to vote to increase the number of young minds that we have in these houses. There's a way we are going to vote as a pattern in terms of the youth that is going to see that the person who is now the CEO of the country is either removed or he does what he's supposed to do within the next 2 years. But I'll say, in terms of how we make the change, that chance shall come, and that shall happen in August 2027. But at that particular time, no person should be bribed by these particular people. Ukiletewa pesa, you take the money, but let it be issue-based campaigns, issue-based politics in terms of the IEBC, and it's how it's going to be constituted. We are able to see what is going to happen with this particular selection panel. We'll be able to be alive to see who they are picking as the members of the IEBC that we're expecting to have in office in the next few months.
Yeah.
We must get people of high integrity, people who are constitutional compliant. If we don't get that,
And
that
we also need
will
young people in
portend
that
a very bad thing in terms of our election. So we must get it right from this particular time.
And if not, we are
But you know, when you look at again the members of the selection panel, there are some good ladies and gentlemen, I can assure you.
Okay.
Some of them have served in certain boards and entities.
Yeah.
Their records speak for themselves. There are certain people within this particular panel that we are pegging our hopes on. And we know
you
that
know-
that they'll bring it out if there's a problem.
Bashir, the devil is always in the detail. So this selection panel may be good, but who will be they given to select? You know, because we know that conversation is going to happen.
You see,
So we need to apply.
Yes.
but when the position comes up,
Yeah.
listing is done, interviews are done. You know, all these are public information that you'll be able to access. If you are able to monitor it from the word go, you should be in a position to challenge it at any given time. If you find them zeroing in on the wrong person, there are various modalities of challenging the suitability of that person to hold that particular office. So I'll say, if we are active enough to monitor how things are done by this particular panel, from now up to the point where that the selection is going to be done, we'll be able to correct certain issues that they're going to. And I think the media is also doing a very good role in terms of what is happening on the reality on the ground. I don't think it will be easy for them.
I think even qualified Gen Zs need to apply for those commissioner
Correct.
roles.
Well,
They
they
need to
apply,
apply for
they
them
apply,
and
but
flood
what jobs are they getting?
No, we will be following that
What
process.
jobs are they Gen Z CSs?
We will keep pushing for it. We'll keep pushing. One thing must keep.
Speaking of IEBC, tomorrow night, my colleague Sam Gituku is hosting the panel of IEBC, and led by the CEO, Marjan Hussein Marjan. So he's going to be on tomorrow night. So, you know,
We will be tuned.
good.
We will be tuned.
Kamakawa Kamadawa. Nyatika Chester says, youths, I love that word, youths, have the numbers. But I haven't heard your guests address issues revolving around the issuance of IDs. We just did
Yeah,
to
we did,
youth
yes.
ripe for voting 2027 and subsequent polls. Winning at the ballot is a process and entails
Mooting.
Voting strategies.
What is mooting?
Putting together. Advocates, they know.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that birthed the guy.
But I think it must have been an earlier tweet.
Yes,
before we had
because
the
we did address that, right?
Yes.
And the youth must get their IDs,
And I
right?
think it emphasizes on the place
Yeah.
of the
It's
They did.
important, yeah.
Yeah.
Osena Mark says, the youthful people can take this country to the right direction by holding the leadership to account on matters integrity and the rule of law. They must accept to start slowly and remain focused on reforms. The future is
I think he meant luminous.
Luminous?
Luminous.
Instead of N, it was supposed to be L.
Luminous. Yes. Oh, thank you. Guy. Babu Michael K. says, Jeff Alenga is making a point. Truth must be told first, and from there we find our way out of it. Optimism must also be realistic. It's better to have true optimism than just being optimistic. I love that panel. Over there, the future is bright. Nice. Sir Nixon Dungira says, Dear youth leaders, President Ruto has made several promises to Kenyan youths. Example, funding the establishment of ICT hubs as part of efforts to address youth unemployment. Are you following up on this? What has come to fruition so far?
Unajua yeye mwenye ako hapo aangalia atuambie.
Where he lives, do they have a hub?
Hapo atuambie yeye kwa ground atuambie.
A pin location.
Hapo hizo atuambie.
Kwa ground mambo ni tofauti. Filimbi Kenya says, the youth question will not find an answer tonight. Our government is out of its depth. Maintenance of basic infrastructure is a challenge, and it's plain for all to see. We cannot tax our way to prosperity. We need to prioritize efficiency and end the greed. What?
Yeah.
Kartuna Karanja said, Jesus, this tweet is so long, man. My God.
We have time high.
Hi, Jeff. One big wrong with the youth is being leaders of tomorrow. They should embrace the nation that they are leaders of today and now. The same
Methuselahs.
Okay. Methuselahs. They think they cannot beat in elections because they are moneyed. They want young guys to work in their enterprises to make the loot for them, as it is them who have the ideas on how to do so. Come on, wake up.
Wake up.
Take over the running of the country. Check how old Tom Mboya and the likes were when they were at the top of the country's affairs. By the way, Tom Mboya was like 28 when he was first hired, right?
But now you know we have the likes of Peter Salasya in parliament.
Guy.
Yeah.
Tumalize.
It's different.
Tumalize.
It's really different.
Gen Z should not
I think
rush.
these are
Oh, there's
one.
anonymous. The Gen Zs should not rush to overhaul the politics of the country because the old guard are so entrenched. It is not easy to do without them. Gen Zs, take your political space using the older generation, not sidelining them.
I think the old generation is the one sidelining the young, and that's why we have an intergenerational conflict.
Nice. Nice. All right, let's get some concluding remarks. Alenga Torrestrad, the Norwegian, Swedish, Scandinavian guy.
Jeff
What's your Luya name?
Alenga
And the other name?
Ugangu.
Okay. That's fine. That's okay, bro. I like
We should
that.
have started from there.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Moving forward.
Jeff, I first and foremost appreciate to be on your show tonight. It's a very, very good opportunity.
Karibu
And it is an opportunity I own dearly for the rest of my life, perhaps. You have talked to me tonight, to my inner person. You know, it was a show, yes, but you were talking to me about the leadership of this country.
Yeah.
And I have something to sleep and wake up on, you know, and make a decision on that. However, we have this intriguing moment that we have to slough ourselves out as young people. The feeling that the older generation carry our aspirations is a wrong place to start from. We must realize that if we are supposed to shape this nation, it starts with conversations that reflect our true position, where we are. We are at the lowest part of the food chain. That's where we are. To bring ourselves up, it doesn't matter how much a politician owns you and says, you're working for me, you're doing this for me. If you cannot sit on the same table with him and make decisions, you are a nobody. And that is the sad reality that young people must contemplate tonight. And then how do we start building our own political journeys? We will only do that if we share in our aspirations. Let's start by dismantling those WhatsApp groups where we are praising so-and-so for governor, so-and-so for senator, and start talking about our young people in the same WhatsApp group. Let's evoke that conversation and ask them, we want so-and-so to be the senator. Because these are people that come from our communities. We know them, and we can be able to fight for them. Let's pull together the small resources that we have and go into this election of 2027 with one aim, that even if we're not going to take the power from the top, let us populate that parliament with people that can think and craft ideas for us. If we cannot take the power from the top, let's go into that Senate and send in young men and women that can be able to contemplate ideas that reflect our true realities, our suffering, our pains, and our agonies. If we cannot take the leadership from the top, let's start by pushing the conversation of how we can reform our education system so that it's an education system that works for all of us. It works for the Kenyan child. Let us debunk the myth that we can go and look for jobs, we can become entrepreneurs. You are being told that lie by 70-year-olds who still sit in an office. If it is so lucrative to start a business, if it is so easy to be an entrepreneurship, why are they still chasing government jobs? Wake up to that reality that we have to wrestle this out. The Bible says that since the days of John the Baptist, the kingdom of God has faced violent, and the violent take it by force. It is our moment to take it by force.
No doubt about it. Whoa, that's deep, man, Alenga, that's deep. I almost said amen to that. Almost. Angel, your turn. Closing thoughts.
Jeff, a good day is seen in the morning, and that's not an English saying, it's a Swahili saying. It says, siku njema huonekana asubuhi. And to me, I think the hearts of young people are where they should be. I think there's that awakening in all of us. A young person in Turkana, a young person in Loitoktok, a young person in Kiambu is feeling the same pinch. And that's a great awakening, and I want to celebrate that. And the journey that we are moving on, let us not lose hope on it. Let us not think that they're old guards, this has happened, that has happened. What happened on June 25th and the days before and the days after was so momentous, we cannot look back and move back from that. I think we have a great chance for our country to redeem our country. It's a perfect opportunity for us when the West has looked away, which they should have done long ago, when we are trying to look within ourselves, within our own resources to be able to build our country ourselves. And I think this is the prime opportune moment for my generation to be able to fulfill that quest that was begun by the Mau Mau before 1963. We cannot continue becoming freedom fighters. My children cannot become freedom fighters. They need to celebrate the fruits of their century, of their generation. And that begins with us now. So may we continue this journey on. Let's ensure that we register as voters. Let's ensure that we speak out if we are not able to access our ID cards. Let us come together and unite and be able to demand for more and better. We have advocates here who can support that quest as well. And the other thing is that please become a member of a political party. Political parties are the ones who form government. Our weapons are our ID cards and our voters' cards. We do not want to end up like countries that we have seen around our region. Those are our weapons, and we must use them maximally and usefully. The other thing is that we need to run for office. We need to take leadership positions. We need to fill those ballot papers with young people, so that if it's not young person A, it's young person B, because that's how we are going to transform our legislative sectors, the executive and the judiciary. And finally, the people of Kiambu, it is my will and hope to serve you as the woman rep in the next parliament. Thank you, Jeff.
2.5 years before you're already talking to the people of Kiambu.
I have spoken to speech, State of the Nation address.
Well done.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Jeff.
Angel. Suleiman, you get the last word.
I think on my
the Grand Mullah's young brother.
The young Grand Mullah.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way, Jeff, that another opportunity will present itself in 2027. We shall have our own moment to audit how these particular leaders have performed over time. And I think that moment must not just bypass us. It is a very important time because that particular decision we make that day shall live with us for the next 5 years. And I think we are in this particular scenario because of the choices we have made previously. We, by 2027, shall form a bigger voting bloc in terms of the constituent, in terms of the number of voters, than we were in 2022. And that particular block of people must not be exercising that decision on the basis of tribe and religion or ethnic-based decision. It must be issue-based. So I will say the person whom will understand our problems is one of us. So it is better we front and put into office someone of high constitutional safeguard or qualification in terms of the requirements of that particular office, someone who is not dirty, someone who understands our issues, someone we are going to vote and make that particular choice based on the issues and the policies that is going to share with us. All is not lost. We have 2 years plus at the moment. I think we have enjoyed a period of digital activism. Let that particular form of activism continue. Well, when you look at the National Assembly and the Senate, order papers on the internet, you can find them. If you have a problem with a bill, because these are the issues that are affecting us on the finances and everything, these are issues that are cooked in that particular house. If we become very active and monitor them, follow them, we're able to present petitions. If they disregard them, we can challenge these particular bills in courts of law. That is what the likes of Omtata have done previously. So I will say, we have what it takes to turn around who will be the one who will be in charge of this country. And whoever that person will be must be someone who we shall live with without any regrets. We must be confident and comfortable with the kind of decision that we are going to make. It's a fair time and a fair moment and a fair chance. For the young minds who have the interest in terms of them running for certain offices, you must not become the president. There are many ways of you changing the lives of your people. You can become a governor, a member of a county assembly, an MP, a senator, a woman rep, name it. There are many ways within which you can cause a change. And whatever position you take up, you can use that particular platform to cause that change.
Yeah, but you want to be president, right?
Inshallah.
Inshallah, I like that. By the way, just real quick, yes or no? Do you feel safe when you're out there? Because you're always on TV and stuff. Do you feel safe?
For me, I'm safe because I'm always in court. I defend those who are affected. This is my day-to-day life.
Okay. Angel?
Yes, I'm safe. I'm confident.
Alanga?
I feel safe.
But we hope that with time, in the next court session, that the Inspector General and the DCI boss must at least present themselves so that they explain the whereabouts of those young Kenyans who are attending.
Yes.
They must take it up upon themselves.
Sure.
The court has called them many a times, and I think this is unfortunately a very bad precedent that has been set previously in terms of the disregard of these particular orders.
Right.
That's why if the IG comes to court, he's asked, where are these Kenyans? We need an explanation from him. When you look at the security, the Constitution, what it does is that it has bestowed the security responsibility on the state. It is the state that is responsible for our security. When you look at the television and what is happening in our country, it is the very same people who are supposed to protect Kenyans that are kidnapping and taking them away.
That's why,
that is a very, very sad
Angel
scenario.
was saying we're going back to more days.
We look forward to a situation whereby we are beyond this and let Kenyans be very proactive. LSK has done its best. There are very many open channels.
Yeah.
Sharia is also trying. There are many platforms. And also ordinary, those who are not even advocates can also move to court.
All right, Suleiman.
Challenge any bad decision.
I need to go home, okay? Just...
Enough of activism.
You know what I'm saying? Goodness. I mean, how much you can talk all night, can't you?
Yes.
We have the energy.
And we hope also...
We were just getting started.
What? Suleiman Bashir, Angel Mbodia.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Alenga Torstad. Thank you so much, guys. You guys are great. And keep talking. Keep doing what you're doing, okay? Don't relent. And that's why I asked you the question, do you feel safe when you do these kinds of interviews and come on panels like this? We hope so.
Yeah.
Because it's 2.5 years before the next election.
And it's our country, we must love it.
Where are we going to go?
We'll
We have no option.
There's no other Kenya.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, folks. Are you listening out there? I hope you are. Thanks so much for your responses. The tweets were coming in thick and fast. They still are. Keep them coming. At Koinange Jeff, at Citizen TV Kenya. The hashtag is JK Live. Remember, if it's Wednesday, it's those 3 letters on the keyboard that follow each other. JKL. That's what I'm talking about, Angel.
Wow.
That's what I'm talking about. All right. Thanks so much for joining us. Good night. Good luck. God bless you all. Goodbye, January. Thank God January's almost over.
Finally.
Hello, February. See you then. Bye.